Welcome to you, Chow, for today's media luncheon. Players Jamie Potts and defensive end Matt Judon, head coach Matt Mitchell. Coach, you can talk about the win over Michigan Tech and then move on to Findlay.
Obviously, good victory at home. Came out maybe not the start we'd wanted. We didn't have a great first offensive possession. Then we punted the ball away, and Michigan Tech went right down the field and scored a touchdown. I thought that next drive, offensively and defensively, the second drive on both sides of the ball, were really critical. You know, offensively, we get out to midfield, and we wanted to be aggressive. We went forward on fourth down. It was close, but we made the first down with Kirk Spencer, and then we had a play rigged up and found Jamie Potts wide open for the touchdown, and that was a huge score for our offense to answer. Punt the ball back to kick off the ball back to Michigan Tech, and they're driving again, putting together some drives. And I really think the play of the game, really defensively for us, was Matt Judon with the sack fumble, and you know, we got the turnover, you know, on our half of the field, and it was just a really huge play for us from emotionally too, lifting our defense. So after that, we continued to score, continued to be productive offensively, both through the air and on the ground, but mainly, you know, it was Bart Williams throwing the ball around and being very efficient. And defensively, we really stepped up the rest of that first quarter and all of the second quarter, really shutting them out, getting interception by David Talley, getting some 3-and-outs, and giving the ball back to our offense. So felt very good heading into the locker room, being up 3 scores. I thought that was you know, very critical for us, especially their style of play. You know, second half, you know, the thing I think positively had happened, every time they did score, which they scored twice, we answered offensively and got it back to a 3-score lead. We were a little bit more conservative in terms of our defensive calls, just given the fact we had a 3-score lead. We did not want to give up a lot of big plays. And, you know, I thought it showed a lot of resiliency and grit by our defensive players, and we just kind of kept playing. And, you know, we only gave up 3 explosive plays the entire football game, even though they ran like, you know, close to 90 snaps, only 3 plays, you know, went over 15 yards. And we just kind of kept the ball in front of us, kept, you know, stopping the run. And, you know, they kind of drove on us, but we got the big missed field goal on the first possession by them in the second half. And then even in the possessions where they did score in the second half, we made them earn it. Nothing was easy, nothing was cheap. They had to drive it all the way down the field, and while they were doing that, there was a lot of time running off the clock. So, you know, as I said, I thought our defense stuck with the plan. It was not a team where you're going to get a lot of tackles for losses based on their running game. We weren't going to get a whole lot of negative plays. But when you look back statistically, huge difference for us in terms of third down conversion percentage. I mean, they were heading into that game. They had an extremely high third down conversion percentage, and we held them to 40% on our end. Just, you know, sometimes the problem was we didn't get him into third downs on a couple of those drives. And then offensively, again, our quarterback continues to make great decisions. We did not have an interception all night. We had 1 fumble, but we're still positive in terms of the turnover margin, positive in terms of explosive plays. And, you know, I thought, you know, Bart played well. We protected him. We didn't give up another sack. We had 0 sacks on the day. And even though it was a stingy run defense, we found a way to kind of run the ball, some draws and some unconventional runs, especially in the third and fourth quarter, to continue to get things going. So from an individual performance standpoint, again, I mentioned Matt Judon and the effect he had. Got to mention our 2 inside linebackers, Colin Slosher and David Talley. And we had Joe Moran out. And we had 2 linebackers played 90 snaps and a lot of tackles. Marquez Goldman was the same way. Our 3 backers played a lot of snaps and were very, very productive for us, and so had big games from that standpoint. Offensively, I think we're seeing, you know, Jamie Potts getting back to what we all expected. He had, you know, 2 touchdown catches, but you know, was really getting in the flow of our offense. I think feels much more comfortable in our offense and was run away from some people there in the second half. And I definitely felt like was playing with a lot of edge on Saturday, as was Kirk Spencer, our senior tailback, and some guys stepping up. So it was good to get that win at home, especially given their record and their ranking and where they were at within our league. So on to Findlay. Be a homecoming game. We have a Hall of Fame ceremony the night before, so I'm looking forward to that. Chuck Martin, who I coached for and with, will be getting inducted in the Grand Valley Hall of Fame, as will Cullen Finnerty. Had the opportunity to be an assistant coach when Cullen was playing here, and so it'll be a special night for Grand Valley football. And on that Friday night, Chuck will be back in town. He has a game at Western Michigan on Saturday, so he'll be back, and it'll be good to see him at that banquet. In regards to the game, Findlay is extremely explosive offensively. If you look at their scores, they've had a lot of really tight ball games. Both last 2 games have gone into overtime, and they're putting up a lot of points. They had a real nail-biter with Ferris State, put up 39 points on Ferris's defense, and are extremely explosive on the offensive side of the ball. They have a quarterback who's a transfer. You can throw it all over the yard. Got good receivers, got 2-3 good tailbacks, an offensive line that protects them. So there's a reason they're tops in our league in some statistical offensive categories. They have a good scheme, and they have a lot of good skill players. So we'll be under a lot of duress. Our defense will be under some stress on Saturday. This is probably, from a skill standpoint, in terms of talent, the best offensive skill players that we've seen since Ferris State. So it'll be a challenge for our defense, to contain them. On the flip side, their defense up to this point has struggled a little bit. They've struggled a little bit against the run. I think that their coaches understand the style of game that they're going to have to win, and they're very aggressive. They had onside kicks against Ferris State. They've done some things to get extra possessions, and they're attempting to try to highlight their offense because they understand that's the strength of their football team. So this will be a game, again, that'll be the next step, the next challenge for us. But it's one of those deals you pop on the tape, and everybody could say this, I suppose, at this point in the year, but there are a few plays here and there from coming in here, possibly 6-1, something along those lines, maybe 7-0. They've had some really close games. Their losses have been tight. They've been tight losses at opportunities. So we'll move on. We'll obviously got to focus on us, though. That's what I told our team yesterday. We've got to focus on us and get it done. This is a big game for us. Next 2 are on the road in Ohio. So last night game for our seniors at home. And it's getting towards the end of the season. We got to take advantage of our opportunities. Questions?
Matt, could you talk a little bit about the ability that your linebackers showed in under coverage? The play that Tally made was not the kind of thing that we've seen from him in the past, being able to get a good drop back there, and he kind of appeared out of nowhere. The quarterback, I don't think, ever saw him. And is that style something you're going to have to do more down the stretch against these good passing teams that are trying to avoid the pass rush from Judon and some others by throwing quickly and throwing short balls?
Yeah, well, I think the 2 things that Michigan Tech did a good job of was they did get the ball out of the quarterback's hands quick. They also moved the pocket. They were trying to run a lot more sprint out passes and trying to get the ball in the perimeter. So, we saw that against ODU, a lot of quick screen game, a lot of trying to avoid our 4-man pass rush. And so I think on Saturday our defensive coaches did a great job of trying to mix up some coverages on Brandon Cowie, and in that situation with the interception, Tally's typically a backer, plays in the box. We dropped the safety down and really widened him and to try to get him in some throwing lanes and try to do a few more of those things. And then, I thought our secondary did a good job of having depth, and keeping the ball in front of him, especially at halftime. We talked a lot about that. We played exclusively almost 2 high zones the entire second half. And when that happens, there's going to be some balls probably completed across the middle, and I thought we did a great job with our linebackers of having vision on those balls underneath and really some hard hits, some hard tackles underneath. So you're right. I think people, when they pop on the tape, as I mentioned, there was a couple games where Matt had the ankle and wasn't quite himself, but with him and DJ's playing well inside, you got Voss, we got some guys who could get on some edges and get after the quarterback, and it definitely makes them nervous, and the ball's going to come out quick, and it's going to be it's going to be critical that our underneath cover guys become good tacklers, and I thought we had good tackling at the linebacking position. Corners can improve on that. There's some balls that got spit out to the flat on some quick screens and bubbles, and some hitches that our corners got to make some of those plays. But, you anticipate that that's going to happen given some of the strength of our defensive line and the pressure they can put on the quarterback.
Coach, do they throw downfield at all? Their averages on their the reception averages, is it yards after the catch or is it downfield stuff?
They throw it everywhere, and I would say of all, again, it's probably been since Ferris State that we've seen a team on tape that has thrown the ball down the field as much as they have. But they're play action. They've got routes that are over the middle. You get safety sucked up on run, and they're hitting those. They're doing a good job with double moves, trying to get an out and up or something happen where they're getting in behind defenses. They got screen game. They have a lot of offense. They have a lot of different variety type offense. Some of it is some big chunk plays where he can throw down the field, and other stuff is whether it's intermediate or short routes. They have some talented guys that have made some people miss and advance the football.
For Coach and Matt Judon, on Saturday's game afterwards, David Talley mentioned how he saw the younger guys on the defense coming out with more confidence game to game. Is that something that you guys are seeing as well?
Yeah, like we've talked a little bit about it here last week's press conference. I think our corners are playing better. They had a really rough game against Ferris, and Lake Erie didn't play great in the first half, but they're playing better, and I think we're getting we've moved some pieces of the puzzle around a little bit. We moved Kyle Short from a free safety position to a strong safety position and put Brad Horling more at our free safety position. So we made that subtle change just to try to get better guys and maybe spots where they can do some things, and I think that's helped put guys in those positions. So overall, yeah, I always felt like our D-line and linebackers were always had confidence because they played so much. I do think the confidence of our back-end guys has improved throughout the course of the season because they made more plays. This was another game where Trey Walton really played extremely well. He had the pass breakup in the end zone, and he probably should have had another pick in the end zone too. He's turning into our most consistent corner, Trey Walton is, and he's really improved his game throughout the course of the season. But I'll take it over to Matt's perspective as a player.
Yeah, I just feel like game after game they get more confidence, more reps under their belt, and we doing a lot of good on good in practices, and I think that's helping them going against Jamie Potts, Brandon Bean, Matt Williams, Justice Wright, going against some of our guys that's making plays out on the field for our offense, and so I feel like they coming to practice hard, and they getting on film, and they just understanding the game more as they get more game reps under their belt.
Jamie, you're 5 games into the season. You didn't go through fall camp, and you missed the first 2 games. Are you starting to feel more comfortable and more like you're getting into football shape? And
yeah, I really feel like this week especially, I really felt like a football player again. It's been coming back, obviously, the last few weeks. I'm getting in better shape, better football shape, and starting to play a little better too. So obviously it's a crucial time in our season when we, every game's a really big game, and it's make or break for us. So you gotta step your performance level up, and that's what I've been trying to do week in and week out.
And Matt, could you address some of the new personnel that we've been seeing lately, like Walling, for instance, being in there, and what if anything, can you say about the receiving situation now? I know Bean was rolled up a little bit last week, and how do you see that for this week?
Yeah, we're doing a little bit more rotating at offensive line because we're a little bit we're more healthy than we have been. Ben Walling was a redshirt freshman that he missed most of spring ball with a PCL injury, and then early on in fall camp, like the 4th practice, he had another injury that he suffered, and we didn't really have him until I'm going to say third game. He started practicing again, and he just kept getting better and better and better. And we always were pretty high on him from a talent perspective, but he didn't do much in spring or fall camp. He started to get more reps. So we have him. We're playing Colin Beebe, who was forced into action when Josh Dentler broke his leg. Josh Dentler practiced all last week. We had a re-X-ray of his fibula, and it's healed up. So I anticipate that he's going to take a lot of reps this week. And so if you would think kind of getting into this end of the season you'd be more banged up at O-line, but actually we're getting more guys back than we have. And you got your bell cows in the middle with Aaron Cox, Brandon Revenberg, and Jim Walsh. And the other thing that happened Saturday, Dan DeLuca got spiked and had to have about 10-15 stitches at halftime, and so we had to put Scott Koningschnecht in and rotate some. So I think you'll continue to see. I don't know if there's a huge differentiation at tackle right now, Tom. Like we're probably going to rotate some guys because I don't know if we have a huge drop off between one guy or the next. But I think it's good for our offense to be rotating some of those guys in and keeping them fresh as we go. From a receiving standpoint, Nick Dotson had the huge play, the huge catch, which swung the field on us. And on Saturday in the previous game, he had a touchdown catch also against Wayne State. So he had a great fall camp, and we decided to not redshirt him, that we're going to play him as a freshman. And he's just, every week he's getting better. I think he's getting more comfortable with what's going on. And I think that's an area of our football team where we do have depth, So we'll see how Beam progresses this week. We'll see about his availability. But it's nice to know that you got, Potts, Williams, Wright, Dotson. We've got Joe Robbins as playing quite a bit. Erston Smith got quite a few reps on Saturday. And then a guy we're going to press into probably more action and keep pushing is another 2 freshmen, Christian Lumpkin. He's been playing in at the slot and doing some things. And then you can also throw Kirk Spencer in that mix. We've been using him, as you saw on Saturday, and the rest of the season at wide receiver because we feel good about, Martavius Carter. I think Marty kind of got back to his normal self a little bit on Saturday. He played well against Hillsdale. He had a death in the family. So he didn't play a lot against Wayne State. This kind of set him back, but he was back, with the long touchdown run. I think he looked good. So we're going to have to keep being inventive, moving the pieces of the puzzle around, trying to use our skill guys, try to keep people off balance.
Jamie, this one's for you. Saturday's game could end up being a shootout. Do offensive players feel pressure when that happens, or do you kind of like that? Is that fun?
We don't feel pressure. Usually if we're not performing on offense, we know our defense is going to come up big for us. So there's really not a lot of pressure for us. I mean, we want to go out there and score, obviously, every time we get the ball. So it really is our main focus just to, put a good drive together every time we get the ball and try and put points up on the board. And we know if we don't do that, our defense is going to pick us up. So it's nice to have that confidence level in your defense to help you out. Especially if we make a turnover like we did in the Michigan Tech game, our defense got us the ball back on an interception. So that's a big boost for us on offense, kind of taking the pressure off us and allowing us to go out there and play.
Okay, Saturday's game is homecoming, 7 p.m. kickoff with the Hall of Fame banquet Friday night, and we'll honor the Hall of Fame inductees Saturday during halftime. Thanks, guys.